I'm going to share multiple strategies for reducing day sales outstanding. But before we discuss how to reduce day sales outstanding, first we need to understand why customers are taking a long time to make payments. So here are some reasons day sales outstanding might be high. The company is slow to bill customers or sends inaccurate invoices. The company doesn't follow up in a timely manner when payment is due. The company doesn't train staff in how to deal with late paying customers. The company allows sales staff to override credit limits, resulting in credit losses. The company is managing accounts receivable with manual data entry in Excel, which increases processing time and results in more mistakes. The company allocates cash payments to the wrong customers or invoices, making it difficult to see which invoices are overdue. The company hasn't established standards for credit and collection, or the company has established standards but doesn't enforce them. If the company is engaging in any of these activities, day sales outstanding will be higher than necessary. This means the company will be unintentionally providing customers with free financing. But here's the good news. A company can reduce day sales outstanding with better credit approval, better payment terms, better billing, and better collection. Here's an overview of the specific techniques I'm going to discuss in this video. Let's start with better credit approval. Companies should establish clear guidelines for issuing credit. This includes accurately assessing customers' credit risk, establishing a sensible credit policy that is consistent with the company's strategy and then making that credit policy transparent, setting a deadline by when credit decisions should be made, and periodically reviewing the credit approval process. Remember, day sales outstanding is affected by customers' ability to pay. Thus, any company that grants credit should have a robust credit granting system to screen out customers that aren't creditworthy. And the process should have more stringent requirements for larger purchases. For example, the company might require a simple credit check for purchases under $25,000, but require a credit check and an internal review of the company's financials for purchases of $25,000 or more. Credit limits should also be set, and the company should clearly establish the circumstances under which employees can override the credit limits. For example, the company might allow overrides for sales over $100,000 contingent on the purchasing of credit insurance. The company should also set a deadline by which credit applications should be approved or rejected, as taking too long can result in lost sales. And being transparent about these credit policies will reduce conflict between the sales team and the finance team. Also, a strong credit approval process is not something that you set and forget. The process should be periodically reviewed as customers' risk profiles and economic conditions change. Companies can also improve day sales outstanding by optimizing their payment terms. Companies can do this by standardizing their payment terms for all customers, requiring upfront deposits or down payments, offering incentives for early payment or penalties for late payment, and improving the customer onboarding process. Standardizing payment terms can reduce the number of errors, make the billing process easier, and make sure that customers aren't given costly extended payment terms. For example, if some invoices require payment in 30 days, while other invoices require payment in 60 days, mistakes might be made when invoicing customers. Customers might also become confused when seeing different payment terms on different invoices. Thus, it's best to negotiate standard payment terms. Another way to improve cash collections is to require a deposit or down payment or to provide incentives for faster payment. Now, giving a discount for early payment is fairly common, but every company needs to weigh the benefit of receiving the cash earlier against the lost revenue from the discount. Companies can also increase the speed of payment by improving the customer onboarding process. Companies should inform new customers of the standard payment terms and make it easy for customers to submit payment. Companies can also improve day sales outstanding with better billing. Companies should send invoices quickly, make sure invoices are accurate, automate the billing process, and create an online customer portal. Slow invoicing leads to slow payment. Thus, companies should establish clear policies for when invoices are to be sent, and then promptly send the invoices at those times. For example, should an invoice be sent when the contract is signed, when the product is shipped, or when the product is received by the customer? It's management's job to set the policy and then clearly communicate the policy to the billing team. For complicated products with multiple milestones, management needs to facilitate communication between the billing team and the project management team so that invoices are sent as milestones are achieved. Invoice errors can also delay payment. Customers can't pay bills that are sent to the wrong address, and they won't pay bills that have inaccurate charges or don't reflect agreed upon discounts. To reduce mistakes, customer data should be centrally managed with someone responsible for maintaining its accuracy. And there should be controls to prevent unauthorized personnel from altering customer data. Invoices should clearly state the payment terms and conditions of any discounts, and the customer contact data should be regularly updated to make sure the invoices are sent to the correct address. Remember, the longer it takes for a customer to receive an accurate invoice, the longer it will take for that customer to pay. Companies could also leverage automation to both increase the speed of billing and reduce the number of errors. Electronic invoices increase the speed of delivery, and they make it easier for customers to download the invoice to their system. In some cases, companies might be able to use smart contracts to automate billing for projects with milestones. Processes should be automated wherever possible, as manual processes result in delayed invoicing and more mistakes. Creating an online customer portal can also improve the billing process by reducing the amount of time spent on cash applications, disputes, and collections. An online portal allows the customer to log into the system, view specific invoices, pay specific invoices, and set up autopay. Thus, the billing team won't be stuck trying to decide which payments pertain to which invoices. An online portal can also increase the speed of invoice delivery and make it easy for the billing team to correct any mistakes. Companies can also reduce days sales outstanding by replacing weak collection policies with proactive cash collection. This includes enforcing payment terms, creating an aging report, training staff for collections, and improving the cash application process. Allowing customers to pay after the due date without penalty is essentially giving customers an interest-free loan. Thus, companies should be diligent when it comes to enforcing payment terms. If payment is due on day 30, the company should be contacting the customer on day 31. And if the customer pays late, the company could charge interest or fees for late payments. But what if the customer doesn't pay at all? Employees need to be properly trained on how to handle this. Staff should follow up on all unpaid invoices and try to understand why the customer isn't paying. Maybe it's a good customer that is just temporarily experiencing cash flow problems. In that case, the collection staff can negotiate a payment plan. Maybe there's a disagreement over the bill. In that case, the company should have a process for dispute resolution. Or maybe the customer is simply refusing to pay without a valid reason, and in that case, the company could hire a collection agency. Spotting problems before they occur is ideal, so companies should create an aging report that lists unpaid invoices by due date. The aging report should be regularly reviewed by management, and troublesome accounts should be flagged. Staff should regularly monitor days sales outstanding and other KPIs, such as the percentage of accounts written off, the percentage of accounts overdue, and collection rates for different groups of receivables. Critical questions include, what is the current days sales outstanding and how has it changed over time? Which customers have the most overdue bills? And which geographic regions are responsible for the most overdue bills? Staff can also use data analytics to do things like predict overdue accounts based on a customer's past payment history and current financial condition, or estimate the likelihood of collection if the company does or does not refer the unpaid invoice to a collection agency. Now, when the company does collect payment from customers, the cash application process should result in the correct payment being applied to the correct customer account and the correct invoice. Best practices include applying payments to specific invoices instead of just crediting a customer's account, applying payments to the correct invoice, not just the oldest invoice, applying payments the same day they're received, and following up on unidentified payments instead of just putting them in a suspense account and forgetting about them. These practices will allow the company to easily see which invoices are past due, so the collections team can then follow up with customers. Accuracy is critical. The collections team shouldn't be wasting time following up with a customer about an unpaid bill when that bill has already been paid and this simply hasn't been reflected in the company's system. So which companies stand the best chance of reducing days sales outstanding? Companies that create a cash culture and prioritize cash flow? Companies that coordinate their sales and finance teams? And companies that structure incentives around capital efficiency? A sustained reduction in days sales outstanding is an organization-wide effort. Successful companies create a cash culture, with cash flow being prioritized for all departments and all levels of management. Some companies even create a cash committee with members from each department. This reminds people that days sales outstanding isn't just the responsibility of the finance team, but should be a coordinated effort. For example, the finance and sales teams should work together to develop the payment terms. And incentives should be structured to incentivize cash collection. The sales team shouldn't just be rewarded for sales, but for sales that are collected. Executives shouldn't just be rewarded for sales growth and profitability, but for reducing days sales outstanding and improving cash flow. Now, I've discussed multiple ways a company can reduce days sales outstanding by improving its credit and collection process. But some companies use other methods of accelerating cash collection. These include factoring, collateralized borrowing, or securitizing the receivables. Let's start with factoring. Instead of waiting to collect payment from customers, a company can sell its receivables to a bank or a factoring company. Receivables can be sold with or without recourse. Without recourse means the factor can't demand payment from the company if some of the receivables turn out to be uncollectible. With recourse means the company selling the receivables must buy back any receivables that the factor can't collect. Factoring allows a company to receive cash immediately for its receivables, but this comes at a cost. The factor is going to pay less than the face value of the receivables. Factoring also makes it difficult to evaluate changes in a company's days sales outstanding over time because it gives the impression that the company's credit and collection policies have improved, when in fact they have not. Companies can also accelerate cash flow with a collateralized borrowing. This involves borrowing money from a bank or a financing company and using the receivables as collateral. The receivables stay on the borrower's books, and the borrower repays the loan plus interest when it later collects payment from customers. Thus, the company isn't receiving payment any faster from customers. It's simply borrowing money until it receives payment. But because the receivables stay on the borrower's books, days sales outstanding is not affected by a collateralized borrowing, even though the company is receiving cash faster. A third way to accelerate cash collections is to securitize receivables. A company would first create a special purpose entity, or SPE, and then transfer the receivables to that SPE. The company would then have the SPE issue debt securities that are collateralized by the receivables. When payment from customers is later collected, the debt would be repaid plus interest. If the receivables stay on the company's books, this would have no effect on days sales outstanding, even though the company's receiving cash faster. So that's it. If you'd like to receive the PDF guide I used in creating this video, along with a days sales outstanding calculator and dashboard, you can just sign up for my email list using the link in the description section below. You can also receive the PDF guide and spreadsheet immediately by becoming a supporter on Patreon.